The world operates in perpetual motion, with every element of our expansive universe working in unison. Every aspect of life has a function, occurring simultaneously in order to sustain the grand machine that is the human race. The basic particles and molecules of the universe are the driving force in the creation of our own anatomy, and to accept this as fact is the understanding that all living things are connected in one way, shape or form. While it is realized that all physical life on Earth is interdependent with one another, the human mind appears far more advanced than anything else that life has to offer. The ability to have thoughts so profound and introspective raises the question as to whether the mind is truly connected to the body. The French philosopher Descartes argues that there is a separation between the mind and body, and that the mental capabilities of a human can exist outside of the physical realm. This is known by philosophy academia to be mind-body dualism, or more specifically to Descartes, Cartesian dualism. In Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis, the distinction between the mind and body runs perpendicular to Descartes' theory of Cartesian dualism. Kafka makes an effort to show that a creature's, such as Gregor's insect form, instinctual needs and physical limitations force the mind to think in different ways. Gregor, the tragic character transformed into a giant insect, must battle with not only his new physical form, but also the mental handicaps that present themselves as a result of being a lesser creature. The brain is forced to carry out what the body desires, and in the case of insects that may be eating rotting food or flying around a room. In the noveler, Gregor begins to develop insectual characteristics that he finds comforting that he otherwise wouldn't if he were still human. He found it difficult to bear lying quietly during the night, and soon eating no longer gave him the slightest pleasure. So for diversion he acquired the habit of crawling back and forth across the walls and ceiling. He was especially fond of hanging from the ceiling. The experience was quite different from lying on the floor. Kafka 21. Every creature on Earth has different instincts that are unique to their own species. Unconscious impulses that the creature performs are shared by the entirety of the species. In Gregor's case, he faces these impulses with his new insectual form, having the unconscious impulse to climb walls, and the food that once granted him pleasure when he was human no longer has the same effect. Humans have basic instincts that are hardwired into our brain and nervous system in order to ensure the survivability of the species. For instance, humans have the instinct of fear to prevent coming in contact with anything that can harm a person. As Descartes suggests, humans do have the capability to have introspective thought completely separate from bodily functions, which is the ability to make observations on oneself's own feelings and emotional processes. While this idea may be true, it does not mean that our mind and body do not work in unison. This is Kafka's intention in The Metamorphosis, as he shows that when a human brain is put into the body of an insect, certain instinctual cerebral functions come into play. As shown in the quotation above, if a part of being an insect is climbing walls and eating rotting food, then the insect will be forced to meet these needs in order to sustain the body. The perception of the universe for a bug is drastically different from that of a human. It is impossible for a creature that lives not even a fraction of the lifespan of a human to understand the world in its full magnitude. In Kafka's novel we see Gregor's newfound perspective of his window view that had previously been known to him as a human. Actually, from day to day he perceived things with less and less clarity, even those a short distance away. He could have believed that from his window he was peering out at a featureless wasteland, in which the grey heaven and the grey earth had merged and were indistinguishable. Kafka 20. Different species view the world in different ways according to the capabilities that their physical form allows. Gregor, now being an insect, views his surroundings differently as opposed to when he was a human. Insects do not see the world with the same clarity as humans. Having the segmented eye structure that they do, from an insect's perspective the world appears as it is in a lower resolution than humans see. The view from Gregor's window is a distorted image of what he had seen when he was a human, and thus the perception of the world around him is altered due to his new insectual form. To argue against Descartes' theory, the human perception of the world is dampened by the physical limitations that the human body presents. The mind and body are connected in that a human's thoughts and emotions are heavily based upon what they see around them, and how their own body interacts with the environment. Perhaps if humans or another species were able to see, or interact, with entities of another dimension previously unknown, then the intellectual capabilities of such species would be broadened to fit their new perception. It can be argued that the mind and body may be two separate entities by nature. That does not mean that they are not connected in order to formulate our perception of the planet. The world around us is viewed differently for every species. A simple housefly, which only has a lifespan of roughly a month, does not have the same perception of the infinitely expansive universe that a human may have. Sure, a housefly may not have the same mental capacity in order to understand such an idea at the same level in which a human does. But who's to say that humans meet the mental capacity of a species in a galaxy distant from our own? Perhaps these life forms of a faraway domain are so incredibly advanced in both mind and body, that life has an entirely different meaning. According to Descartes, the mind has the capability to perceive thought outside of our body and what is not of our own earth. Yet are we truly certain that this is the case? It is possible that our mental and physical state do not have the tools necessary in order to really understand a higher plane of existence, and we are manifesting ideas to our mind's limits in order to justify the unknown. Our mind and body are in fact connected in order to prevent one another from expanding beyond their capabilities. Kafka puts these ideas into motion in the Metamorphosis, as he shows when the human mind is placed in a less superior physical state such as an insect, the potential of the creature is reduced. Through my analysis of the Metamorphosis and Descartes' theory of Cartesian dualism, it appears as if Descartes' theory does not account for the fact that the human brain was specifically adapted for the human body. Therefore we think because we are human. In the end, it is fascinating to wonder what secrets our universe possesses that we are unaware of, and what we may never be aware of in our lifetime. The universe may be infinite, but our perception of what infinite is limited to the ability of the human brain.